Welcome. This is a recap of the WHO Radio Wise Guys show for January 22nd, 2011. I'm Dan Adams. The man running the camera there is Brian Gonigal.
Hey.
And this is our after-show video going back and recapping everything that we talked about today. And we're also going to have our special feature, what we learned on the Wise Guys today. So real quick, what we learned on the Wise Guys today, Brian actually agreed with me on something today. In fact, I was so shocked that I don't even remember what he agreed with me on, but he did actually agree with me. So if you listen to the Wise Guys today, you'll know what we're talking about there. I also discovered that Brian Goggle hates monarchies. He doesn't see a place for them in our society, and I think they're kind of cool, so I kind of like them.
Frankly, I think they're coddled.
I don't even know what that means. What do you even mean by don't go into that.
I don't have to.
And that Brian Goggle also hates Facebook.
No, I don't
hate Facebook. He doesn't really hate Facebook. Let's clarify that. He doesn't like the applications, the games and stuff. And honestly, for good reason, because Facebook has no problem putting any information that you put on their system out there for everyone to see. So you got to be very careful when you're doing things on Facebook and any other social media networking type site like that also.
I agree. I said it.
Okay. So moving on to recap our show today, Brian says that Apple has had a lousy week, and I don't think I wouldn't call it lousy, but Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple, is taking a second medical leave of absence, which is probably a good thing. He's had some medical issues. The guy had a liver transplant, he had a liver transplant and pancreatic cancer a year ago. So I don't see what the big deal is in taking another medical leave of absence.
Well, I don't see that as a big deal, except for the fact that when he goes away, the company is put at some risk. I mean, the stock price dropped by 3% immediately on that news. I think he's worth more than 3% of the value of the company, which I think is not necessarily a sustainable way to run a company, by the way.
I don't agree with you. The guy was gone before for 6 months, and the company did fine. Came out with the iPad while he was gone. So, you know. I'm
just saying, I think it's a risk.
Okay, moving on. Google's had an interesting week also. The CEO of Google, a gentleman by the name of Eric Schmidt, is stepping down as CEO so that one of the founders, Larry Page, can take over as CEO and run the company. I think this is a huge mistake. I don't want to say this is going to spell the end of Google, because it's certainly not, but I don't think Larry Page has the skill set to be the CEO of a company that size. If you look at the top 3 technology companies in the world, you got Apple, you got Microsoft, and you got Google. Larry Page was a programmer. He's not a business C-level type CEO. I think this is a really bad thing for Google, and I think Eric Schmidt has had it with putting up with dealing with Larry Page, and this is just a transition for Eric Schmidt to get out of the company. So.
Well, he may or may not be leaving, but I do think there's a very substantial reason to believe that Google has maybe until 2020 to remain dominant in the search engine market. I think it's almost impossible to stay on top for 2 decades. I think it's virtually impossible.
Well, Microsoft has done it.
Well, Microsoft has stayed on top of something totally different. When you are locked into using Microsoft products like operating systems, you're locked in. It's a very difficult thing to transition away from. It's very easy to switch away from using Google services, whether it's search engines or email or anything else.
Okay.
They're trying to make it a stickier service, but it's difficult.
We'll see. You're giving them until 2020. Honestly, I wouldn't even give them that long.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll have to revisit this video, which happens to be posted most likely on YouTube, which is a Google property. We'll look into the likelihood of that one in the future. Finally, a question for you. Are you a cyborg already? I know that sounds kind of bizarre.
How do we know? Did you ever watch the newest Battlestar Galactica series? We could all be cyborgs. Cyborgs are what our civilization evolved from, according to that show.
You're thinking of a different type of cyborg. My question when I say, are you a cyborg already, is this. Do you have information about yourself that is lodged on the internet or on a computer or somewhere technologically that you essentially can't do without? I mean, realistically, if I took your smartphone away from you, Dan, and I took it away from you for a day, how would you feel? This smartphone right here. What if we took it away from you for a week? What if we took that thing away from you for a month? Is there stuff on there? Well, I understand you'd want to get it again. Could you live without the content that's on there, like, say, your contact information, your email addresses, your calendar?
It's all backed up.
all of that stuff, yeah, but if I took it away from you altogether, if you couldn't access it anymore and you had to rely on what's in your head, how would you survive?
I think I would do better than most people because I actually do just keep a lot of stuff in my head. I mean, I keep all my contact information I keep backed up, of course. My calendar, I keep a lot of that in my head. So I think I do better than most people. A lot of people would freak out about it.
Well, most people, I would say, can't really live without access to the phone or to their landline phones or to their computers, whether keyboards, whatever it is that you rely upon to do your day-to-day stuff. I just don't think you can live in a way without it. And I think that makes you, in essence, a cyborg, something that is dependent upon a machine that is outside your own existence to keep on living.
I think what's really cool is the technology that they're working on. It's not going to be coming, 20, 30 years from now, when you don't have a phone like this or a computer anymore. They just have an implant in your head, and your brain, it works with your brain, and it does everything that way. And this is actually technology that they're working on. This is not conspiracy theory type stuff.
People have cochlear implants.
Yes, we are working on things like this. We are working to make ourselves more like the Borg on Star Trek. So we'll see. I just want to live long enough to experience something like that.
Well, that's pretty much the dream.
I don't have to use my brain anymore. I can have a chip do it all for me.
You want to do all the thinking outside your head.
God, how lazy could I be then?
I will say this, though, with this question looming large, I would argue this. I think a lot of people are, in essence, becoming sort of cyborg-like in the way that they present a whole second self on sites like Facebook, or if you're still using it, MySpace, or Twitter, or wherever else. You have a presence, a virtual presence of yourself, which is an extension of you, and I think people are relying on that to a degree now for a lot of social things. I don't think we're using it in as smart a way as we could to be retaining the things that we know there. I think there's a lot of underuse.
I know some people that have cyborg-type tendencies, and it worries me because I'm already thinking these people are already halfway there. So
they're working on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we know for now. So we're going to invite you to listen again next Saturday, 1 o'clock Central Time.
Tune in every Saturday at 1 o'clock Central Time for the WHO Radio Wise Guys right here on News Radio 1040, WHO. And thanks for watching our video. We will try to post a video after every show doing a recap like this. And remember to tell your friends about the Wise Guys.
Exactly. 1040 on your AM dial if you're in central Iowa, WHOradio.com, streaming and podcasts and videos and all those things for everybody else on the planet. We'll see you next week here on WHO.